Hello, my name is Olorotimi Osha. I am discussing a false flag operation today. I'm going to be defining it first. A false flag operation is a staged act, right? It's a staged act. It's engineered by one party, right? By one party in order to shift blame on another party. So they fabricate an incident. It can be an attack, right? It can be an attack. It can be a violent attack. It can be some act of subversion. But the idea is to shift blame on another party to justify retaliation, right? And so when I give examples of these false flag operations, then that have occurred in history, then it will be easier to understand. Anyway, the name you see flag, false flag, originates from uh, naval history, tactics that were used by the Navy in the past. For instance, they could fly a false flag, right? They could fly another party's flag in order to strike and justify going to war, right? So they use their enemy's flag, and they can pretend that the enemy attacked them in order to justify military action or an invasion. Um, a reason I'm talking about false flag operations is because one, I'm going to discuss the false flag operation that was first used by the CIA. The first time the CIA used a false flag operation, it was in Iran, right? In the coup that toppled Mohammed Mossadegh, who was the prime minister, the democratically elected prime minister, or democratically chosen prime minister of Iran in 1953. The operation was called Operation Ajax. Americans call it Ajax, Operation Ajax. So I'm going to do another video discussing that. And so I'm not going to discuss that now, but I'll discuss two other false flag operations that happened. And then the second reason I want to discuss is because I was a victim of a false flag operation. I've been talking about how I was swatted, right, on May 16, 2023. And since then, I haven't had my freedom. I've had false charges filed against me in Maryland. They've done all sorts of dubious fabrications. I've done videos explaining the fabrications that happen, from the fabricated emergency evaluation petition by Jide Iwarere, a Howard University professor, to the neighbor that he had come to attack me with, right, attempting to kidnap me, but he goes to fabricate a peace order saying I actually kidnapped him. So all of that, and that was it all happened on the same day. The raiding that occurred on May 16, 2023. It happened on the same day that I was supposed to be going through a Navy General of Officers Professions program. Even though I was not in the military, I was a civilian on the civilian side. And for some reason, the Navy just forgot to show up on that day. That's what the naval officer who contacted me, his name is Lieutenant Devon Blake. So that was a false flag operation. I've talked about the fabrication. So the idea is it was the Navy that instigated the whole thing, right? They instigated the whole thing. They have worked with the CIA, right? But eventually, what happened was that Jide Iwarere took the blame, right? Jide Iwarere took the blame. All the paper trail led to Jide Iwarere, but I made the military leave their own paper trail as well. They left their own evidence as well. I guess I don't know if they're sloppy or they did it on purpose just to intimidate me. But the objective was also to discredit me because I'd already felt there was an ongoing federal investigation against people in the Department of the Navy and Department of Defense that I'd reported who committed fraud, waste, mismanagement, and other misconduct. They were under investigation. And so what they did was I was being discredited. And so they did the false flag operation, which is a crime. It's actually legal. And of course, one of the things that they did was the purpose of them sending me an email for an appointment to transition into military intelligence for the Navy General Officers Professions Program was in order to to throw me off, to make it seem like, well, they're recruiting me for something, right? So and that was how they left their paper trail, right? That which I have, and of course, the coincidence, very unlikely. Lightning doesn't strike twice in the same place. But anyway, I'll do a video discussing it in detail. I've done videos and I've explained what happened, right? But now I'm putting a name to all that happened, the way it was all orchestrated. That's called a false flag operation. And eventually, so they shifted blame to Jide Iwarere to make it seem Jide Iwarere was the one who instigated the entire thing, right? And then it also led the Montgomery County Police to get involved. That the whole incident was delivering an emergency evaluation petition, which they never brought with them, and which was also fabricated. That it led to a violent interaction with Montgomery County Police, and Montgomery County Police ended up assaulting me and charging me with crimes, right? So that is a false flag operation. But today, what I want to talk about is uh, the false flag operation the immediate one that instigated the Second World War. I'm going to be talking about two, and that was when Germans, right, the SS and Gestapo on the German side, right, on August 31, 1939, um, some Germans, right, dressed in Polish uniforms. They were dressed as Polish soldiers, even though they were Germans, Gestapo and SS officers. They were dressed as Polish officers, and they raided. Um, they raided a station in Germany, the Glewitz radio station, and they staged an attack to make it seem like it was Polish officers, right, that raided this uh, Glewitz radio station, a German radio station, and they broadcasted anti-German messages, right, on the radio station. Now, um, the to advance the subterfuge, advance the fraud, right? They had some people, prisoners in concentration camps, right? They dressed them up as Polish soldiers and they killed them and left them at the scene to make it look like they were the casualties of the attack, that they were some of the Polish soldiers who had attacked the German station and broadcasted anti-German messages. And so this was August 31st, 1939. And so there was Germans who had staged, that's Nazis, the SS and Gestapo, they staged the whole incident to make it seem like Polish soldiers attacked, a German station, radio station, and they used it as a pretext for retaliation for a German invasion of Poland on September 1, 1939, and that was what precipitated the Second World War. Another instance of a false flag operation, which was also prelude to the Second World War, happened on September 18, 1931, much earlier, and it was Japanese troops when the Japanese military blew a section of their own railway. That's the South Manchurian Railway, right? They blew it up, and in Manchuria, they blew it up and blamed the Chinese, right? They claimed it was the Chinese who blew up that railway in Manchuria, and they used it as pretext to seize Manchuria and set up a puppet state, the puppet state of Manchukuo. So that was an act of Japanese aggression. So those two instances, they're called false flag operations. And as I said, the first recorded acknowledged false flag operation that the CIA orchestrated, engineered from start to finish, was that they managed themselves, was the Operation Ajax, or Operation Ajax, as Americans will call it. And that was in the way they orchestrated the overthrow of Mohammed Mossadegh, who was the prime minister of of Iran in order to consolidate the power of Shah Mohammed Reza Pahlavi, right? And who, was basically a tool, a puppet of the US and the British at that time. So that's a false flag operation, right? So the idea can be to discredit a party, it can be to justify an attack or retaliation, and its name originates um, from Navy actions, right? Navy subterfuge, where the Navy uses a false flag, like an opponent's flag, to stage an attack and make it seem like it was their opponent that did the attack in order to discredit them and to serve as a pretext to go to war, right? So, and it's ironic that the Navy did a false flag operation on me. Of course, it violates the Parsi Comitatus Act. My name's Olurotimi Osha. I'll keep you posted. Thank you.